Have you ever tried to be really consistent at a habit and you started off and you were doing great, and then after a few days or a few weeks, things started to slip. Life got in the way and you fell off track completely. If you have that experience, don't worry, this is extremely common, and I used to be in that space until I learned the 5 steps that I'm going to teach you today on how to be extremely consistent. Once I learned these things, my life changed completely, and I became someone so consistent that I blogged every day for 2 years. I never missed a day. I meditated daily for a year. I made offers in my business daily for months, and now I'm actually in the middle of 2 different daily consistent challenges. I'm posting 3 times a day on TikTok for 30 days, and I'm also journaling for my mindset every single day for the whole year. I think I'm 90 days into that one so far. I am an extremely consistent person. I have learned the tools for consistency, but I wasn't always that way. So I'm gonna teach you today exactly how you can become extremely consistent. In fact, my ideas on consistency kind of broke the internet when I created a graphic that got seen by 7 million people. And because of that, my approach to consistency has actually been taught in schools and therapy sessions around the world. So I'm really excited to dive in today to show you what they are. If you're new to this channel, my name's Sarah. I'm a high performance coach, and I help you take more action towards your goals in your life and your business. So if that's something you want to do, then definitely hit subscribe. Okay, so before we can talk about the steps to becoming consistent, you first have to understand why you're not being consistent. You might have seen my viral graphic floating around the internet. It got shared by Arianna Huffington and Stephen Bartlett from Dragon's Den. And the concept behind it is what we think showing up daily means is to do everything perfectly. But actually what showing up daily means is to show up daily, no matter what, even if it's not perfect. In fact, trying to be perfect will sabotage the whole thing because you'll be like, oh, there's no point, and then you fall off track. But if you can make it imperfect, you allow yourself space to show up however you need to show up that day, and you still create momentum, because momentum matters so much more than perfection. And in fact, not only do you not have to be perfect, you don't even have to be good. You just have to show up. And if you show up every single day towards your goal, you will generate massive momentum and keep moving forward. It allows you to always say, I did the thing, and feel like you're continuing forward instead of, unless it's perfect, I'm not going to do it. And this idea really came from when I blogged every day for 2 years. There were days when I did 1,000 words as a post, and there were days where I wrote 3 words. I literally have a blog post that says, hold for more, and that counted because I'm not measuring whether or not I did it perfectly. I'm just measuring if I showed up. So the reason that you struggle to be consistent in the past is because of the expectations you have put on yourself. To be perfect, to be a certain way, or there's no point doing it. But you can show up in the smallest way every single day and get things done and keep moving forward, and that will make you consistent. So here are the 5 steps to becoming extremely consistent. Step number 1 is to plan a daily action. You have to pick one thing that you're gonna do every single day. I recommend starting out with just one. You can build them over time, but you don't want to start out with like, I'm gonna do 10 different habits today and they're all gonna be consistent, because you might end up kind of being overwhelmed by that. I find it much more effective to pick one daily action, and then eventually after you've done it for a while, you can stack another one on top. That's what I did. This year I started with, I'm gonna journal every single day, and now we're about 90 days in and I've started a new challenge to post on TikTok 3 times a day. So I'm stacking up those actions, but I didn't start them all at once. The beauty of picking a daily action is that it's actually easier to do something every single day than it is to do it once in a while. When I started my blog, I actually started a couple of years before I blogged every day for 2 years. And in that time of a couple of years, I think I put up like 10 posts total. That's it, because I didn't have that consistency and I was trying to make it perfect. As soon as I started doing it daily, that question of, is today one of the days? Should I do it today or should I do it tomorrow? Maybe I'll publish it tomorrow. Maybe I'll wait until it's perfect. That question completely disappeared, and it was simply, did I do it today? So that is step 1, set a daily action. Step 2 is to set an end point. I repeat, do not do this forever. If your brain thinks that it has to do it forever, it will want to opt out straight away. You want to set an end point so that you can choose to recommit and it feels like a smaller chunk for your brain. So I recommend that you pick 7 days or 30 days or even a year, or if you're crazy like I was, you can pick 2 years, but pick a point that's going to end so that your brain knows, okay, we can get through this. This is actually something that's doable. But the key with picking a timeline is that you want to make sure you do it for long enough to actually see results. So you don't want to pick a 7-day challenge if it's something that you know is going to take longer than that to actually get results, because by the end of the 7 days, your brain's going to be like, oh, well, that didn't work. There's no point doing it. You want to pick a timeline that's going to be long enough to get you results, but short enough that your brain can actually get on board. All right, step 3, raise the stakes. It is time for you to publicly declare to the world that this is what you are doing. I know that there's actually a lot of people who disagree with this. Some people think you should keep your goals private, but I think that the power of accountability cannot be overstated. When you feel like you have to do something because someone else is expecting you to do it, it's just easier. It doesn't mean that you can't work out how to create that drive from within, but if you can get some from outside, why try to work through all of that inner stuff if you can easily just put a solution from the outside, which is external accountability? And that external accountability doesn't have to come from someone actually saying to you, hey, have you done it? It's enough for me to just tell people this is what I'm doing. And then I feel this huge sense of my reputation being on the line, and I want to show up because I don't want anyone to think that I don't keep my word. I'm someone who always does what she says she's going to do, and so when I say it publicly, I'm going to stick to that. Go and tell someone, go and tell the world. The more people you can tell, the better, the more likely you are to actually follow through. Okay, step 4, and this is probably the most important step. Create a minimum version for those low energy days. There are gonna be days when you do not want to do it. If you're like me, that's probably gonna be every single day. When you set the goal, you're probably setting it from this high energy version of you who expects that your future self is gonna be super productive and super onto it all the time and never miss a day. And we have to be aware that your future self is probably not gonna want to do it. And so you want to create a minimum version that still counts ahead of time. So you want to plan what is still going to count. So for me, when I blogged every day, I knew as long as something got published, I don't care if it's gibberish, I don't care if it doesn't make any sense. If words hit the page and I hit publish, then it counts. And that took tons of pressure off. It meant I could do it in 2 minutes if I needed to. If it was suddenly bedtime and I realized I hadn't done it that day, I could still do it. So what will be your low energy minimum version of that daily action? Decide right now so that your future self can actually thank you and they can keep going. All right, step 5. And I know I said the last step was the most important one, but this is also extremely important. And that is to plan what to think when you don't feel like doing it. Because inevitably you are not going to want to do it, and you need to prepare ahead of time for that moment. The worst thing you can do is expect that you're always going to feel like doing it. And the easiest way to counteract that is to expect that you are not going to want to do it and plan ahead of time what to think when that happens. So on my list of thoughts were things like, I know exactly what to do. This can be fun and easy. I was born for this. Michael Jordan would do it because I really looked up to Michael Jordan and I knew he would do it, and that motivated me to want to do it too. So pick for you, what are the thoughts that you're going to decide ahead of time to think when you don't feel like doing it? Because that means you will not be caught off guard. You will not be surprised when you don't feel like doing it. That's the worst thing you can do, is to be surprised by the feeling of not wanting to do it. It will happen. I can promise you right now, you will not want to do it for various reasons. Something will come up. Some world event will happen. Somebody in your life will tell you that now's not the time for you to do the thing. And you are going to have to decide ahead of time what to think so that in that moment you do it anyway. All right, so those are the steps. Set a daily action, set an endpoint, raise the stakes, create an easy minimum version for the days you don't feel like it, and then plan what to think on the times you don't feel like doing it. I promise you, if you start following these steps, it will become so easy to be consistent. It has completely changed my life, and I hope that it changes yours too. So let me know in the comments, what are you going to be consistent on every single day? And I will talk to you in the next video.